Part 69. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 681. From the outside, you can tell that the temple is not big. After entering, I realized that it is really small. There is only one main hall, and the Buddha enshrined in it is not a golden body. There are side rooms on both sides, one is the kitchen and dining room, and the other is for rest. Coupled with the 2 red maples and several pines and cypresses planted in the yard, it is the entire Yujin temple. Stepping into the palace gate, Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing saw the master Wuju mentioned, who was also the old abbot of Yujin temple. The old man has white beard and hair. He is a little short and a little fat. When he looks at him with a smile, he looks like Maitreya Buddha. Amitabha. Shen Yunqing clasped his hands and returned the Buddhist salute. Zhang Lingzi could not return the salute and just bowed her head slightly. The old abbot was quite direct. Before Shen Yunqing could speak, he spoke first. This is the Buddhist beads that Wuju asked me to hand over to the female donor. He also asked me to tell the female donor that it is not easy to consecrate the Buddha's light and cultivate it. Please don't do it again, it's broken, he said, and handed the prayer beads he was still twisting forward. Zhang Lingzi was embarrassed and stretched out her hand. No, I will keep it well. As soon as the beads were wrapped around her wrist, Zhang Lingzi couldn't help but curl her fingers and move her eyebrows. This string of prayer beads feels more obvious than the one she tore off before. Is it because of the blessing of the old abbot in front of her? Thank you, abbot. You're welcome. The good deeds you have done should be well rewarded, considering that there was still a little girl who didn't know the inside story, the old abbot said implicitly, and then looked up at the sun outside. It's almost noon, 3 of you the donor might as well have lunch before leaving. Then it's a nuisance. It doesn't matter, this is the time to cook, it's just time to cook more. Soon, Zhang Lingzi knew who the chef was today. It's still the old abbot himself. The young monk who came to greet them was responsible for helping them. When the other party went to the corner to collect firewood, Zhang Lingzi couldn't help but stop him and asked, "Are you and your master the only ones in this temple?" "There is one more," the young monk said seriously, "and senior brother Wuju." Zhang Lingzi, "Okay, go and do your work. The female donor is free to do as she pleases." As a guest, Shen Yunqing was too embarrassed to just watch the master and apprentice busy, so he followed into the kitchen and rolled up his sleeves to help wash rice and wash vegetables. Leaving Zhang Lingzi alone, she walked around the whole temple and turned around to look at Su Ling'an, who was kneeling in front of the main hall, worshipping Buddha and burning incense seriously. "It has been several minutes since I prayed. It seems that this girl has made a lot of wishes." Hearing the footsteps behind him, Su Ling'an stood up. When he turned around, he saw the extra string of Buddhist beads on Zhang Lingzi's wrist. "Sister, are you here for the string of Buddhist beads? There is no need to be careful now." Zhang Lingzi nodded. "It will help my injury," said, and handed over his hand. Su Ling'an was stunned for a moment, then regained his senses and carefully took off his gloves. When he could see clearly what kind of injury he had suffered, his pupils shrank severely. This injury looks a little weird." Su Ling'an pursed her lips and nodded. "It's a bit like being burned, but it's just one piece, so there won't be such lines. Moreover, the lines seem to be not just on the surface." "Does it hurt, sister?" "It doesn't hurt anymore. It's definitely not a burn. I can't say what caused it. In short, it's getting better soon, don't worry." Su Ling'an sensibly did not ask further questions. Zhang Lingzi stood at the door facing the sunshine and moved her fingers carefully. "Having worn the gloves for a long time, I felt a little uncomfortable when I suddenly took them off." Shen Yunqing helped wash the vegetables and steam the rice. He came out of the kitchen and looked at Zhang Lingzi, who was standing in front of the palace door. The next second his eyes fell on her hands. "How about it?" Zhang Lingzi didn't dodge when he reached out his hand, and when she took it, she scratched his fingers and said, the effect is indeed very good. I think I should be able to eat by myself at noon. Wuja said that the beads are only temporarily suppressing it, and the previous treatments must be continued continuously. After all, they were in front of the Buddha, and there was Su Ling'an next to him. The two of them didn't do anything too intimate. They shook hands and then let go. I think the scenery on the mountain is pretty good, and it's a bit wild. Don't be in a hurry after eating. How about going down the mountain and walking around? Good. Lunch is naturally vegetarian. However, the old abbot's craftsmanship was very good. Zhang Lingzi took the chopsticks by herself again after so many days and cooked 2 bowls of rice in a row. Su Ling'an spent a lot of energy climbing the mountain in the morning. After finishing a bowl of rice, he filled up half a bowl. In the end, there was a big pot of rice and 4 large vegetarian dishes, which were eaten completely by the 5 people, old and young. After dinner it's time to say goodbye and leave. The old abbot wanted to have lunch classes, and the young monk who had greeted them before sent them outside again. The little monk heard that they were planning to play nearby, so he generously recommended several places. There is a red maple forest 1 mile to the west. The maple trees in our temple were transplanted from there. They are very cold resistant and look great now. There are a few early plum trees further ahead. I don't know if they are blooming now. I haven't been there for a long time, but be careful when you go there. You may get hurt if you slide down. When talking about this, the young monk was still a little frightened. It seemed that he had experienced it himself. Thanks to the young monk, the 3 of them walked towards the west as soon as they were together. Following the path that has been trodden by people, I turned a corner at the end, and my eyes suddenly opened up. The sunshine at 2 or 3 o'clock in winter is the warmest. When it shines on your face, you can't help but squint your eyes and enjoy it. Zhang Lingzi took Shen Yunqing's left hand and Su Ling'an's right hand, stepped on the soft carpet covered with fiery red maple leaves, found a stone also covered with leaves, sat down, and quietly savored a moment of leisure. For a time, there was only the sound of the wind blowing through the fallen leaves, and even time seemed to slow down. Well, what figure? Zhang Lingzi lifted her head from Shen Yunqing's shoulder. Hush, Shen Yunqing raised his finger, it's 2 squirrels. The squirrel family living in a big tree not far away was taking advantage of the warm afternoon to stock up on supplies for the winter. They were unaware that 3 pairs of eyes not far away were watching their every move. Until the little squirrels all got into the hole, Zhang Lingzi stretched and stood up. What time is it? She also used to play Shen Yunqing on her mobile phone. At 3:30. Then there's still time. Let's go see if the early plum trees that Xiao Wu mentioned are in bloom. Su Ling'an didn't move. Sisters and brothers-in-law, you go ahead. I'll sit there for a while and see if the little squirrel comes out again. As a sensible sister, sometimes I have to consciously avoid it and not be a light bulb. Moreover, even though I know that the road ahead is difficult, I am a sports scumbag, so I still don't dare to challenge my own shortcomings. Zhang Lingzi touched her head and said, then sit here and wait for us. If you need something, just call out. Yeah. Su Ling'an nodded like a chicken pecking at rice, and watched the 2 of them leave hand in hand with a smile. Who knows what it feels like to take CP at close range? Super cool. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 682. Through the maple forest, you can see plum branches protruding from the cliff. There are only a few flowers blooming sporadically on the branches, and most of them are still buds. But if you want to walk over and enjoy the complete beauty, you have to pass several large and small stones with irregular shapes. There are large and small gaps between the stones. Depending on the depth, if you accidentally fall down, even an adult will have to work hard to climb up, let alone a child who has not yet grown up. Little Wu must have fallen before. I don't know whether I climbed up by myself in the end, or whether the old abbot found out that the person was missing and came all the way to rescue him. However, Zhang Lingzi didn't worry about such a small difficulty. "Let go of your hands and gear up, I'll pass first. Shen Yunqing, be careful." "Don't worry." As he said this, he jumped accurately onto a rock in front of him, followed by several more precise jumps, and successfully jumped to the finish line. He turned around and waved to the man who was still standing there and just breathed a sigh of relief, "Come quickly." Shen Yunqing took off the scarf around his neck and held it in his hand. He pursed his lips and jumped onto the stone with a serious look on his face. While waiting for the last piece to be jumped, there was a click in my ears. He subconsciously looked up and looked at the camera lens of the mobile phone held in Zhang Lingzi's hand. The smiling face behind the phone is as bright as the sun and the moon. "Look." When Shen Yunqing stood firm in front of him with a look of annoyance and amusement, Zhang Lingzi turned the screen of her phone and asked for credit. "How is it?" "The photo was pretty good, wasn't it?" Looking at what was captured on the screen, it was exactly when he was preparing to take off. Some small movements were not even noticed by himself. At this moment, they were faithfully recorded by the camera. Shen Yunqing nodded without conscience. "Not bad. As a courtesy, I'd like you to take a photo of me too. Let's use the plum branches on this cliff as the background." For him, it's just a snapshot, and for me, I carefully select the background. That's right, it's such a double standard. Shen Yunqing took the phone, waited for the people in the camera to pose, carefully found the angle, and then took several photos in a row. This is also a precautionary measure. It would be bad if you just take one picture and it doesn't look good. It's better to take a few more photos to choose from. Zhang Lingzi flipped through the photos she had just taken. "Yes, it seems that you have learned many techniques for boyfriends to take pictures of their girlfriends." Shen Yunqing looked humble and said, "Your Majesty is so complimentary." Probably it was because of the empty space in the mountains. From a long distance away, Su Ling'an could still hear the laughter of his elder sisters reaching his ears. It was so cheerful that one couldn't help but feel relaxed. Thinking that there was someone waiting outside in the woods, Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing wandered around here for less than half an hour before returning the same way. Back to the maple forest, Zhang Lingzi took Su Ling'an and happily picked up some well-shaped maple leaves and liquid amber fruits that could be used to make incense, and then hurried down the mountain before the sun set. "Go back to the car. Should I take you back to the hospital?" "Well, the doctor said that Grandpa will have another checkup tomorrow. If there are no accidents, he can be discharged from the hospital." Zhang Lingzi was still hesitant about whether to visit Mr. Zhang. After all, it was better not to know before. But now that he knows, it is unjustifiable not to visit. But when she thought that she might run into Zhang Anfeng and the others when she went to the hospital, she didn't want to go. Since the old man is going to have a checkup tomorrow and may have to be discharged from the hospital, he might as well forget it. "Then I won't make a special trip to visit you. I'll go back and say hello to your grandpa for me." Su Ling'an nodded obediently. "Okay, sister." Having solved the most important hand problem, Zhang Lingzi touched her mobile phone and felt that this little thing was more friendly than before. She has always been a person who accepts new things quickly and is very willing to accept them. If Shen Yunqing is not very fond of mobile phones, then she is too cold. If you don't touch your phone for a few days, it's like you've lost something. "I can't do anything else in the car now, so I just hold my phone and click away." Shen Yunqing looked in the rearview mirror several times while driving. Every time, he wanted to say, "Looking at mobile phones in the car will affect your eyesight," but he swallowed it back. That's all, it doesn't matter once or twice. It's better not to disturb His Majesty's interest. Shen Yunqing failed to interrupt Zhang Lingzi's interest in playing with her mobile phone, so when Tong Yu accidentally browsed Zhang Lingzi's friend's circle, her first reaction was to rub her eyes in disbelief. A person who has not posted a WeChat moment for 10,000 years actually posted a WeChat moment. This is even rarer than thunder on a sunny day. After clicking through the photos posted in Moments, Tong Yu didn't know what expression to put on. If she remembered correctly, Zhang Lingzi told her yesterday that she had personal matters to take care of today. This so-called private matter is to go out for fun with your husband. It seems that we didn't go to a park or amusement park. This photo was more like it was taken on a mountain. Have you no idea whether your hands are good or not? Mr. Shen didn't know what to advise. Forget it, she has seen through it after such a long time. This is a man who is infinitely pampering to his wife. Clicking on Zhang Lingzi's avatar, Tong Yu simply typed, "Did you go hiking with Mr. Shen, are your hands ready?" She knew that Zhang Lingzi had difficulty with her hands, and Mr. Shen was keeping her cell phone during this period. It just so happened that she not only wanted to ask Zhang Lingzi this question, but also wanted Mr. Shen to see it. Indulgence is not such a method of indulgence. Zhang Lingzi was stunned for 2 seconds when she received the message from Tong Yu. She typed and asked, "How did you know?" Tong Yu. She simply clicked on the photo she just saw, saved it, and forwarded it. "Didn't you post this in Moments?" Zhang Lingzi, I actually shared it, unexpectedly. A new feature has just been updated on the mobile phone, which can support one-click sharing of photos in the gallery. She must have clicked on it accidentally when she was looking through the photos. I have never posted to Moments before, so naturally I don't know that it has been synchronized to Moments. After hearing this explanation, Tong Yu said, "Fortunately, I only posted it to Moments. If it had been forwarded to the internet, I would have to prepare for public relations now." Who asked this photo to be taken by Mr. Shen, and it was clear from the first glance that it was Mr. Shen who was in an extremely relaxed state and was completely undefended. Single, or at least a single girlfriend who has not yet identified a partner, suddenly posted a photo of a man, who is not an elder or junior. It is simply telling the majority of netizens that there is a situation. At that time, her agent would be faced with a huge increase in workload. Wait a minute, she seems to have overlooked something more important. A few seconds later, Tong Yu slapped her forehead. "Are your hands ready?" Mr. Shen definitely couldn't have done this. Others didn't have the guts to do it, and it was impossible to get Zhang Lingzi's mobile phone. Then there is only one possibility, and this is what I did. Alright. Although it is unavoidable, it is still a little stiff, and the lines on the back of the hand are only lighter and still exist, but it can be used, which is good for her. Tong Yu, so fast? If she remembered correctly, this girl couldn't move her hands yesterday. It's only been one day. Today I went out specifically to treat my hand, and the effect was very good. Mountain climbing is just a side trip. Plans for driving practice can be advanced. When it came to work, Tong Yu decided not to worry about anything else. "Are you sure there is no problem?" "Sure." "Then shall I drive over to pick you up tomorrow, or shall I stay at Z1? After finalizing the plan to practice driving with Tong Yu, Zhang Lingzi closed the chat room and opened the WeChat Moments. She saw that there were a lot of likes at the bottom of the WeChat Moments she had just posted. There are also messages from Lu Zhengzheng, Wei Minmin, Shen Chuiwa, and others below. Originally I wanted to delete it, but now that I'm looking at it, I might as well forget it. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 683. Happening on the phone, Zhang Lingzi glanced in the direction of the driver's seat in front, her eyes a little wandering. He coughed lightly and decided to take the initiative to explain, "Yunqing, the photo I took for you was accidentally posted to Moments. Originally I wanted to delete it, but I just took a look and a lot of people liked it and left comments, so I thought I'd just not delete it." After finishing speaking, she waited for a few more seconds before she heard the response from the front, "It's okay. No wonder the cell phone in my pocket has been buzzing several times since just now." He was also going to take it out to see who sent the message when he was waiting at the red light, but he didn't need to look at it now. It is estimated that they are all sent by people who have seen the photos in moments. Sulingan listened on the sidelines, silently taking out his mobile phone with one hand, clicking on the circle of friends, finding the photo that his sister had just posted, and also liked it. 11 Ping raised his head and met the eyes of his sister looking over with a smile. "The photos my sister took of my brother-in-law, both in terms of angle and composition, are just right and natural, so talented." Zhang Lingzi touched her head and said, "I guess you can praise me." A few minutes later, Tong Yu sent another message. "You probably took more than just this photo when you went out for fun. Did you take any of your own? Your own account has been empty for a long time." Zhang Lingzi looked at the last 3 exclamation marks and touched her nose. "Have." She typed without waiting for Tong Yu's news to come back. "I will send it right away." Before Tong Yu could type and ask for the photo so that Lu Zhengzheng could help beautify it before publishing it, she had already received a reminder on her phone. "The Zhang Lingzi you are following has just posted a new update, go check it out." Tong Yu. This wave is quite fast. It seems that the hand has almost recovered, otherwise it would not be able to have such fast hand speed. Thinking about clicking on the feed with your finger. Zhang Lingzi v. The early plum blossoms have bloomed in the mountains. Picture 1 Picture 2. Actually wrote an extra sentence, although it was only 6 words plus 1 punctuation mark. There were also 2 pictures. She thought this girl would be as stingy as ever and only send 1. There is progress, and the progress is still obvious. After another refresh, this new post has over 10,000 likes and nearly 1,000 comments. You must know that this will be less than 3 minutes before the update is published. The heat is evident. In fact, at the International Fashion Festival, after Mr. Casso wore a dragon robe and walked in the finale show during his retirement show, the number of fans on Zhang Lingzi's account surged. Although the growth rate has slowed down since then, significant growth can still be seen every day. So far, it has exceeded the 10 million mark, and there are many more fans from other countries. In contrast, there are no new status updates under the account. At that time, Zhang Lingzi's hand was injured, and she couldn't bear to rush him. Until now, I can truly appreciate the popularity of my own artist when he is in the spotlight. Tong Yu suppressed her excitement and clicked on the comment. "Oh my god, it's no wonder that I have been waiting all the time to finally see the missing person return. Who dares to believe that after the show, the whole network was paying attention, but disappeared without a trace? I would like to say that Zhang Lingzi really belongs to you. Do you guys have any objections? No opinion, no opinion. If she doesn't show up again, I will think that my sister is going to quit the circle. I want to say that my sister is too willful. She disappeared from the public for such a long time. Doesn't her company and agent care about her?" Tong Yu happened to find this comment. "Think she doesn't want to? The key is that she can't control it at all, and she doesn't dare to. Was this photo taken in the imperial capital? Judging from the lighting, it must have been taken just a while ago. I went hiking in the winter, so I seem to be very energetic. I already have enough energy to climb the mountain. Why don't I have time to post a few more updates? Fans like me are almost out of temper with my sister's ostentatious updates. I have long recognized the reality, so be content. At least I posted this post years ago, which shows that we have not been forgotten. Happy.jpg. I am also hiking. Is there any wise netizen who can recognize which mountain around the imperial capital this is? I would like to meet it by chance. It's really hard to tell which mountain it is from the background. The photographer found it from this angle, wanting me to look at Sister Zhengzi's beautiful face in her prime. It depends on your luck. Good luck to the netizens who are climbing, amen. Look, I just found out who has clicked on Zhang Lingzi's post. Screenshot, Abswine, Abshamil, Abscoli, did Zhang Lingzi wipe out the ABS family in one fell swoop? Really? I just got curious and went in to take a look. These accounts don't seem to be fake. Fake accounts can't be so real. And I also noticed that these people are paying attention to Zhang Lingzi. The key point is here, Zhang Lingzi didn't even come back. Can you believe it? Wei Minmin, how dare you do it? If you put it on Sister 11, I wouldn't find it strange at all. How dare she not upload photos? The bottom row is ha ha ha. Tong Yu. She also wanted to queue up and say ha ha ha, but she couldn't hold it back. Wei Minmin sent a message, but that's not all. Sister 11, do you have any announcements next year? If you're not busy, let's join in a round. We all have time to go hiking, so we should have time to have a meal together, right? Give it to my sister. Zhang Lingzi really saw it? Wei Minmin replied seriously under the message, there are still 2 commercials to be shot, and you should also be present at the new drama promotion event. After that, we can have a meal together. Tong Yu couldn't help but twitch at the end of her eyes. This answer is honest enough. Sure enough, after this reply came out, before Wei Minmin could reply again, other netizens flooded in with questions. I finally found the right person in the comment area. Can you tell me a little bit about what kind of advertisement it is? Can I buy it to support my sister? Zhang Lingzi, we will know when the commercial is filmed and the brand is released. You don't need to buy it specifically to support me, just buy what you need and don't waste your money. A group of netizens. You gave me such a suggestion. Does the brand that wants you to shoot an advertisement know about it? Tong Yu pinched her eyebrows, and after exiting, she directly sent a message to Zhang Lingzi, it's okay, dear, stop showing off in your comment area. Although the contract for cooperation with the brand has been signed, this is not the case. When a brand seeks celebrity endorsement, the original intention is for the celebrity to drive sales of its own products. She is really afraid that the brand will see this comment from its newly selected spokesperson. Stop showing off, really? Zhang Lingzi closed the comment without finishing it. After thinking about it, she clicked on the 4-digit fan list with the word 10,000 added to the suffix. She found a number of Chinese names whose prefix was ABC and clicked back one by one. Abswini, who was in the manor and had just received the prompt to return to the customs level. How to put it this way, to a certain extent, Miss Zhang is quite a fan. Didn't you come back as soon as you saw the reminder from netizens? But the next second she received a message from Zhang Lingzi, Hemile is not busy now, and he still has time to like my post. He does it very quickly. She is not sure whether the eldest brother is still busy now, but seeing that Miss Zhang just replied to a netizen's comment and then sent her a message, it seems that her hand has finally recovered. As for why, you can tell at a glance that this is Miss Jiang's reply instead of Mr. Shen's help. Can she say that with this style of speech? You can tell at a glance that it is Miss Zhang herself. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 684. The car stopped in front of the hospital. Su Linggan opened the car door and got out. Goodbye, sister and husband. Zhang Lingzi waved her hand and did not forget to remind her again, remember, don't stay at home during the holidays. Dress more tightly and go out for a walk more often when you have time. Su Linggan stuck out his tongue and said oh obediently. This time climbing a mountain together completely exposed her shortcomings in physical fitness. When I got down the mountain, I was caught off guard by the instruction to strengthen my physical exercise. It is still likely to face a surprise assessment. But exercise is really painful. Especially in the winter. However, it is estimated to be more difficult in summer. At other times, she should be in the library or computer room. Thinking about it this way, it seems that it will be more acceptable during the winter vacation. Watching the car that was seeing her sister and brother-in-law slowly merge into the traffic flow again, Su Ling'an returned to her grandfather's ward with a little depression. When I opened the door and saw Zhang Anfeng sitting beside my grandfather's hospital bed, peeling apples, my face suddenly froze. "Grandpa, I'm back." She thought that when she met her uncle Zhang Anfeng this time, they would still be in the same state of indifference to each other as before, but she didn't expect that the other party would turn around, with a smile so bright that she almost thought that the man had taken the wrong medicine and was stimulated and went crazy. "Anan is back. Did you have fun? Do you want to eat an apple?" Su Ling'an looked at the pitted apple that was handed to him and took a step back subconsciously. "There's no poison on it, right? Grandpa is still here, Zhang Anfeng should not be so stupid. So what does this mean?" Seeing Su Ling'an's subconscious actions, the forced smile on Zhang Anfeng's face paused. He stood up and was about to say something when he heard the old man behind him saying, "Okay, I've been stuck here all day, don't you? I'm still annoyed, so get out." Zhang Anfeng had no choice but to swallow back his words of goodwill, and silently recited that step by step was too much. "Dad, please have a good rest. I will come over to see you tomorrow morning." Zhang Nashuan snorted softly, watching his eldest son go out, and then looking at his granddaughter who was so frightened that she still couldn't recover, and couldn't help but sigh. Having broken the child's heart, what's the use of trying to make up for it? Moreover, I don't know if it's true or false. "Anan, don't pay attention to him. I don't know what medicine I took today, so you came here to be filial to me. Doing any work will be unhelpful." Su Ling'an put down her bag and glanced at the chair Zhang Anfeng had just sat on. He hesitated for a moment and decided not to sit down, and decided to quietly take it out for disinfection later. "Grandpa, my sister heard that you were hospitalized and originally wanted to come over to visit you in person. I said you would be discharged from the hospital after your examination tomorrow and everything was fine, but she didn't come and asked me to say hello to you." Zhang Nashuan smiled and waved his hand. "There's no need to visit. It's not a big deal to me. She can just be busy with her work. Well, my sister and I saw little squirrels on the mountain, took photos, picked up maple leaves and came back to make bookmarks. Then I want to see it." The grandfather and grandson were enjoying themselves here. Zhang Anfeng, who had left the ward, pushed open the door of another ward on the same floor with a sullen face. Lin Yi was feeding her son who had just finished surgery and couldn't get up to drink water. Hearing the sound, she turned around and saw her husband's dark face. Did the old man kick him back? Zhang Anfeng was angry. "Shut up if you can't speak. Why are you so angry with me?" Zhang Anfeng walked to the hospital bed and said, "Zhang Lingzi is back." As soon as the words Zhang Lingzi came out, Lin Yi's hand holding the straw trembled and she almost poked her son's nostril. Zhang Ling's whose eyelids trembled as he was lying on the bed. The name is now no different than a devil to the family. "Come back as soon as you come back. We can't afford to provoke her anyway." "What, you still want to go against her?" "When did I say I was going to do the right thing? I was wondering if there was any way to win over my niece. After all, I am her biological uncle. Su Ling'an is called Sister Zhang Lingzi, but they are not related by blood. Maybe I can do it from this aspect. Make a fuss." The old man fainted when he was angry this time. It seems that his health is getting worse day by day. You really want to watch the old man leave everything in his hands to that little girl Su Ling'an. Lin Yi couldn't help but twitch the corners of her mouth. She wanted to sarcastically say to her husband, "How dare you think about it," but she swallowed it back. Since the company has plummeted, their family has been abandoned by the old man again. The daughter plotted against Su Ling'an and was sent to prison by Zhang Lingzi. In addition, her son now has a broken kidney. Now she is afraid to make trouble at all. She is also afraid that her husband will turn his attention to her. The one kept outside. Although the one outside is still young, he is still healthy. She was well protected by her husband, and she couldn't find anyone even if she wanted to take action. She took a deep breath and followed her husband's words and said, "But we have offended that girl so badly, especially Ling Xian, how can we save her?" "Let me think about it." Zhang Anfeng frowned, thinking of Su Ling'an's guardedness when she saw him just now. "Don't look at her as a weak girl, she is very smart. Otherwise, I can't coax the old man to find anything. I have to think carefully." "Think." "Dad, Mom." Zhang Lingzhou suddenly spoke, causing the couple to look over. "Actually, there is another way." Zhang Anfeng met his son's cold eyes and was stunned for a moment. "What can we do?" "Su Ling'an's only support is Zhang Lingzi. Instead of racking your brains to think of how to win her over, you might as well just pull out all the stops and eliminate her support. Without Zhang Lingzi, there is only Su Ling'an, and we can't just let us round and flatten her. Even if Grandpa left all the family property to her before his death, we can force her to spit it out. And our family has suffered so much at the hands of Zhang Lingzi, can you really swallow this? Even when he was stabbed in the waist and turned into half a man, it was because someone was ridiculing him because he saw his family was in a poor state. He couldn't bear the tone and only moved his hands. He now understands clearly that Zhang Lingzi is the culprit who caused their family to fall into pieces. The worst case scenario is that the fish will die and the net will be broken. Zhang Anfeng. Lin Yi. The couple looked at each other. They all read the same message in each other's eyes: the son is crazy. Killing Zhang Lingzi, is this something they can do? Even if the few assets they have left can be used to pay for murder, if it fails, or if it succeeds and they are found, they will be the ones who will be killed. You have to swallow this even if you can't. Okay, your mother and I have never heard of those reckless words just now. Xiaozhou, you'd better shut up and recuperate. You might get involved in this kind of thing yourself. Your sister has already gone in. If you go in again, Mom will die. As the saying goes, it is better to live than to die. It's not like we're at the end of our rope yet. What if the old man sees that his family is in such a miserable state before he dies, and suddenly becomes soft-hearted again? They don't want to go crazy with their son who just lost a kidney. The veins on Zhang Lingzhu's forehead couldn't help but twitch. As soon as he moved a little, the wound where the anesthesia had worn off felt a heartbreaking pain, always telling him the fact that he only had one kidney left in his life that could still be used. You are too timid to do it, right? He can do it himself. His behavior as of these years was not in vain. Even if he can't kill Zhang Lingzi, he will still destroy that face and he will never be able to survive in the entertainment industry. It's not bad to think about life being worse than death. End of chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 685. Su Ling'an got out of the car. Zhang Lingzi asked Shen Yunqing to find a deserted place to stop the car, and transferred from the back seat to the passenger seat. "I plan to practice driving with Tong Yu tomorrow, then we will need to drive for a while when filming a car commercial." Shen Yunqing's movement of shifting gears paused, and when he noticed the eyes of the people next to him, he slowed down a bit. "Aren't you going to take another day off?" Zhang Lingzi moved her hands and she could clearly feel her hands becoming more and more flexible. "I think there's nothing wrong with my hands." Although Tong Yu didn't rush me, I could see that the pressure on her side was quite big. "I could indeed hold off. It's been a long time. Finish your work early and go to bed early. Then you can drive this car tomorrow." Zhang Lingzi carefully looked at Shen Yunqing's starting maneuvers. "I originally planned to practice on Tong Yu's car." "Is there anything special about your car? Is it easier to operate than ordinary cars?" "Anyway, she will be watching from the sidelines and feels that the operation is quite simple." Shen Yunqing, "The operation is pretty much the same, but the material used in this one is better and more durable." Zhang Lingzi, "This is really an irresistible reason." Asterisk. Tong Yu specially rented a place for driving practice at a driving school for a whole day, and there was a spacious place for them to drive. She thought that Zhang Lingzi had basic driving ability, so she didn't hire a coach and planned to be the co-pilot's instructor. Until she saw the car Zhang Lingzi was going to use for practice. Isn't this a bit exaggerated? Even though she doesn't know much about luxury cars, she still recognizes the logo on this car. The most common ones cost $1 million. It's a bit drifting to practice with this kind of car. Yunqing said this car is more durable. Ahem, Tong Yu nodded dryly, that's true. The reason why a luxury car is that in addition to the brand bonus and luxurious configuration, the sturdiness of the body is naturally unmatched by ordinary cars. How can you not resist? What a simple and unpretentious reason. But I've never driven a luxury car like this before, why don't I ask a coach to come over? Zhang Lingzi waved her hand confidently, no, I watched Yunqing drive yesterday and already know how to operate it. Tong Yu, okay. At worst, she fastened her seat belt the whole time and was always ready to help apply the brakes. The emergency safety facilities inside the luxury car should also be quite good. There should be nothing to worry about. Xiaoji got out of the car with a book. He was responsible for driving His Majesty to meet at the venue today. The work would come to an end here. He would just wait until His Majesty finished driving and then send him back to Ziwan safely. I put refreshing peppermint sachets in the car, as well as chocolate and vitamin water to replenish energy, madam, please remember to use them. Zhang Lingzi nodded, watched him walk to the lounge, greeted Tong Yu, and got on the driver's seat. To be honest, this was the first time she touched the steering wheel. Although I have sat in the passenger seat side by side with the driver several times, when I put my hands on the steering wheel, it really feels a little different. Tong Yu fastened her seat belt on herself in the passenger seat and turned her head to see Zhang Lingzi looking seriously ahead. Feeling slightly reassured, she cleared her throat and began to guide. Actually, after mastering the basic operations of driving a vehicle, the most important thing is 2 words, dare to open. Many people do well when they are learning, but once they go on the road without the help of a coach next to them, they panic. Let's try to walk slowly for a while, turn a corner, wait for the feeling to come up, then increase the speed, and then practice how to deal with uphill and downhill. Take your time, don't rush, we have a whole day woolen cloth. Zhang Lingzi listened to Tong Yu's instructions with one ear, thinking about Shen Yunqing and Xiaoji's driving actions on the way here yesterday. Then reproduce it 1-to-1. The feeling of push came over her back. Tong Yu said, slow down, the start is a bit too strong. But it is indeed Zhang Lingzi's style. Whether before or now, this person is not a gentle person. When it comes to driving a car, it's naturally not that gentle. Tong Yu swallowed back her slower words. The car moved forward for a while, not too slow but not too fast, and turned another corner. Zhang Lingzi felt that it was not too challenging and started to speed up silently. When she turned again, she saw that the angle was not very big, so she did not lower her speed at all. Speed. Tong Yu. The students are talented but don't follow their own steps, which gives them a headache. After running through all the roads on the field, Zhang Lingzi was quite satisfied with the results of her first practice except for accidentally hitting a tree when reversing. It's pretty simple. Tong Yu's expression on the side was a little numb. Zhang Lingzi's unfamiliarity with driving was obvious at the beginning, but during the subsequent practice, the student was able to profoundly implement the key points she emphasized at the beginning. This girl really dares to drive. Timid, afraid to take action, afraid to speed up, it doesn't exist at all. Zhang Lingzi was still looking eager to try. Sister Tong, get ready, I'm going to start speeding up. The current speed can no longer satisfy her. Tong Yu. In the following day, Tong Yu fully experienced the performance and speed that a luxury car should have. It was her one-day student Zhang Lingzi who took her to experience it. Very good, I'm out of school now. I'm now completely sure that your hand is fine, but why are these lines on the back of your hand still there? Zhang Lingzi took a sip of water and glanced at the back of her hand as she unscrewed the bottle cap. In fact, the color was much lighter than yesterday, but it was still quite different from her original skin. It should take some time to disappear. If it cannot be exposed during shooting, you can cover it with foundation first. Since there are no wounds on the surface of the skin, it doesn't matter if you cover them. It looks a bit like a light-colored tattoo now, so it should be fine. I'll communicate with the brand when I get back and we can arrange the shooting. Is it okay with you? Anytime. That's it, I have to go back to the company and wait for my notification. Zhang Lingzi waved goodbye to Tong Yu, who was returning to her car, and then got into the driver's seat. Before the summer solstice, I'll drive back. After learning to drive, she discovered that she still preferred to control the steering wheel herself. After returning to Ziwan safely all the way, Xiaoji turned to look at His Majesty, who was still energetic and seemed to be able to drive around Ziwan. After hesitating for a moment, he finally spoke about his little feelings. I think His Majesty would like to drive a racing car. Driving such an ordinary luxury car is obviously a bit unsatisfying. Zhang Lingzi unbuckled his seat belt and nodded to him before getting out of the car. If you have the chance, you can really try it. Summer solstice. He was really just talking. I hope that one day His Majesty will suddenly have a whim and want to touch a racing car. Sir, please don't put the blame on him. End of chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 686. In the hospital ward. Zhang Nashuan was about to be discharged from the hospital after checking that there was no problem. Zhang Anfeng and Lin Yi hurried over to see the old man off. Thinking of her son who was still lying alone in the ward and couldn't get out of bed, Lin Yi took a step forward and said, "Dad, before you leave, do you want to go and see Xiaozhou? This child already knows that he is wrong. If he hadn't really been unable to get out of bed, he would have thought about it a long time ago. Come here to apologize and ask for your forgiveness." Zhang Nashuan paused for a moment and looked at Lin Yi's bloodshot eyes. The stubble on his eldest son's face was still there, and he still said unforgivingly, "This little brought it upon himself, and now he dares to use the knife on others. He's such a big man and he doesn't know anything about anything. Why don't you go back and ask him where he got such a big face?" Then he nodded Zhang Anfeng and Lin Yi's noses again. "I don't know how you became parents. You are all obsessed with money. I have failed you. I can't even teach two children well. Tell me, you guys, what else can you do?" After a stern reprimand, especially when Su Ling'an and Zhang Ye were still there, the couple immediately blushed. Zhang Anfeng couldn't help but glare at his wife, knowing that the old man was hospitalized because of his son's anger. Lin Yi's eyes turned red in embarrassment when she was stared at. She thought that if the old man saw the miserable condition of his grandson with his own eyes, he might be able to soften his heart. How could I have imagined that I would receive such a slap directly? Zhang Anfeng braced himself and held his father's arm. "Dad, if you don't want to see me, then you can see me. I'll help you out." Zhang Nashuan withdrew his hand and said, "No, I'm fine, I don't need your help." The couple shamelessly followed behind. Lin Yi looked up and saw Su Ling'an. Thinking about the idea her husband said yesterday, she pulled this girl over and quickly put on an amiable smile. "Enan has been working hard to take care of Dad these days. I think this little face is a little thin. It's just right. My restaurant has recently opened a medicated meal. If you are not busy, Enan will come with your grandpa to try it and replenish your body." Su Ling'an almost wanted to rub the goosebumps on his arms when he saw it. Yesterday it was Zhang Anfeng, Today it was Lin Yi, which made her feel a little uncomfortable. Originally, she was hesitant to tell her sister about Zhang and Feng's abnormality, but now it seems that both of them are like this. She should tell her sister when she gets back. Several people passed by the door of the ward where Zhang Lingzhou lived. Zhang Nashuan paused inaudibly and continued walking forward. The granddaughter who has already entered has no hope, and he does not intend to recognize the younger son of the mistress whose eldest son is being raised outside. I just hope that after this incident, this brat Lingzhou can learn a lesson. Even if a kidney is missing, as long as the patient changes his mind, there is still hope. But separated by a wall, Zhang Lingzhou did not sense the eager expectations of his grandfather who was passing by outside. At this moment, his parents and caregivers were not in the room. He struggled to pick up the mobile phone tucked under the pillow, clicked on the friends bar and pulled it all the way to the bottom. Then he clicked on a pure black profile picture and typed, "Are you there?" As soon as it was sent successfully, a text was automatically replied. "If you're, don't be verbose and tell us directly. Remember to look at the price list. Consultation is also charged." Zhang Lingzhou pursed his lips and clicked on the price list below. It's very painful at first glance. This was someone he added by chance when he went to study abroad and hung out with a group of local motorcycle gangs. Before this, he never thought that he would find this person one day. "I would like to ask you to help me deal with a person in the imperial capital of Huazhu, Zhang Lingzi." After the message was sent, the black profile picture flashed, and then he watched helplessly as the name of the person he had just sent changed to, and he couldn't help but feel nervous. "I am making a deal with the devil now, and I am a little shuddering and a little excited. What result do you want? Death, serious injury, or some part of the body? Different requirements have different prices, please consider them carefully before replying." Zhang Lingzhu's hand holding the phone shook. He took a deep breath to calm himself down. He opened the price list and looked at it again. He thought about his remaining assets and felt depressed for a moment. "I will ruin her face. Yuatian, this is a star. He relies on his face to make a living. Having his face ruined is probably more uncomfortable than death. You are quite ruthless." Zhang Lingzhou sneered. This was the result he wanted. "I can make the payment now, how long will it take you to do it?" He is destined to spend this new year in the hospital. How can Zhang Lingzi still spend this new year well? If you have money, everything will be easier. You can pay the deposit now, and I will send someone over as soon as possible to find an opportunity to do it. Looking at the payment pop-up window that suddenly appeared on the screen of his mobile phone, Zhang Lingzhou endured the pain and entered the numbers and clicked pay. "It's a pleasure to work with you, please remember to leave a favorable comment when the work is completed. Zhang Lingzhou." Then he watched helplessly as the content of the chat just flowed back in time, disappearing from back to front. Together with the price list that he had saved extra, when he looked at it again, it also showed that the picture has been damaged. After finishing a transaction that lasted only a few minutes and putting down his phone, he realized that he had broken out in a cold sweat. Only through real contact can one realize the other person's magical powers. It should be easy for a being with such vast magical powers to destroy Zhang Lingzi's face. Asterisk. It's confirmed, the car commercial shooting time is scheduled for the day after tomorrow. The overall itinerary is to be in the setup studio in the morning and shoot the outdoor scenes in the afternoon. There will also be a short scene of driving a vehicle. It should be fine for you now. And this scene has no lines and no script. Zhang Lingzi sat cross-legged on the bed and nodded at the phone screen. Then early the day after tomorrow, I will take Zheng Zheng and the others to Z1 to pick you up. Go to bed early and don't stay up late these 2 days. Zhang Lingzi responded and hung up the video. She turned around and was about to talk to Shen Yunqing when her cell phone rang again. Seeing that it was Su Ling'an calling, he clicked the call. "Aren't you asleep yet?" "Sister, I haven't slept either. I accompanied my grandpa and just returned home to settle down. Is the old man okay? Well, the doctor said that my grandpa's body is still strong and he will be fine if he takes good care of himself. Sister, I think there is something wrong with Zhang Anfeng and Lin Yi. Zhang Lingzi's originally somewhat lazy posture couldn't help but sit up straighter. What should I say? They suddenly became friendly to me in front of my grandpa, but I could tell it was just superficial, but it still felt weird, as if they were secretly harboring evil intentions. Zhang Lingzi looked at the girl's troubled expression and nodded in agreement with her speculation. You are not unreasonable to worry. There must be a monster when something goes wrong. The couple must have the purpose of doing this. But you can't do it now while you are on vacation. Go to school, or come and accompany me. The couple will definitely not have the guts to come to me. Unless all the lessons I received from her were in vain. Will you still be my sister's assistant? Okay, I'll report for work tomorrow. There's no rush. You've been staying in the hospital with me for several days. Let's take a rest tomorrow and come back early the day after tomorrow. I happen to be filming a car commercial the day after tomorrow, and I can also take you racing to relax. That's settled then. Shen Yunqing sat aside and waited for Zhang Lingzi to hang up the video before speaking. Zhang Nashuan's eldest son is dishonest again. Well, I don't know what bad things I've been holding back this time, and I've decided to target Anan again. Zhang Lingzi touched the Buddhist beads on her wrist, and a flash of ice flashed in her eyes. I thought that after so long, these two people, I finally know it has stopped. It seems I have to find a chance to deal with this family completely, otherwise it will be like flies swooping over me from time to time, which is quite annoying. Just because she chose to wear prayer beads does not mean that her temper has also become better and more tolerant. If he gets into her hands again, it will be useless even if Mr. Zhang sacrifices his face to plead for mercy. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 687. Is Su Ling'an hiding from us on purpose? I went to the old man to deliver supplements, but I didn't see the girl at all. I asked the old man and she said she was looking for Zhang Lingzi. She is following Zhang Lingzi. How can we keep in contact next? Then she doesn't live with my dad anymore. I passed by her room and took a look. The tables were all covered with dust covers. I guess she planned to come back during the Chinese New Year. Then let's ignore her for now. While Su Ling'an isn't around to be attentive to my dad, let's take advantage of this time to be filial to the old man. She is also creating opportunities for us by hiding. Now let's compare who is more considerate. I don't believe this. When her own son exerts his strength, he can't compare to her granddaughter who is a generation removed from her. That's right, the old man is the one who can make the decision. I sent supplements today, and the old man even praised me for being thoughtful. Then give it to him every day, and we take turns. Don't come back as soon as you give it away. Look for opportunities to talk to the old man more. As long as the old man doesn't ask for help, don't get up if you can't. Cook a meal for our father with your own hands. Lin Yi twitched her lips, but thinking of the family property in the old man's hands, she nodded. For the sake of future wealth, it is nothing to suffer a little now. Su Ling'an went to find Zhang Lingzi. The couple, who were still discussing how to take advantage of Su Ling'an's absence to please the old man, heard the sound and turned to look at their son lying on the hospital bed. He met Zhang Lingzi, whose eyes full of joy. Yeah, what's wrong, son? It's okay. Zhang Lingzhou wanted to press his lips, but couldn't. Okay, it's good, that's great. If he saw something happen to Zhang Lingzi with his own eyes, his little cousin would probably be scared out of his wits. He had already thought about what he would say to provoke Su Ling'an, so as to deepen the girl's collapse. Grandpa is really cruel. Even though he is like this, he doesn't even want to look at him. I hope his old man can still accept a collapsed granddaughter. Lin Yi looked at her son's mouth, which was about to reach his ears. She reached out and tugged on her husband's sleeves, pulled him out of the ward and closed the door before whispering, "Do you think Xiaozhou was too stimulated this time? What should I do? I think his nerves are a little abnormal. Should he ask a doctor to take a look at this?" She pointed at her brain and said, "He just made me laugh so hard." Panic. It's really a big blow to him this time. He's so young and has no children yet. Zhang Anfeng frowned as he spoke, "But it's better to go to the doctor. How can any parent suspect that their child has a brain problem? I don't think so. He just can't accept this blow for a while. Please comfort him and let him come out as soon as possible." Lin Yi. Can she say that she is a little afraid of her son now? Oh, okay, I'll give it a try. Hopefully her relief will be useful. The action is about to begin. Zhang Lingzhu's eyes lit up when he saw the message that suddenly appeared on the screen of his mobile phone. Can it be broadcast live? How much do you hate that girl? She caused me to lose a kidney. Sympathize with the employer for a second. However, it is difficult to live broadcast in China, so I will try my best to send you as many high-definition photos of disfigurement as possible from multiple angles. That's okay too. Asterisk. In the huge studio, everyone was busy. Zhang Lingzi finished taking photos of her sitting inside the car, opened the door and got out. Xiao Xiao, who had been waiting outside, quickly stepped forward to touch up her makeup. Lu Zhengzheng immediately took out the thermos cup from the bag and handed it over. Su Ling'an was not idle either, helping to sort out the wrinkles on her sister's clothes that she had just ridden in the car. Tong Yu communicated with the planner about the upcoming itinerary. After the communication, she walked to Zhang Lingzi, who was drinking water. The shooting location for the afternoon has been determined. An abandoned lakeside road not far from here has been cleared in advance. We'll have a quick meal in the shed later and then we'll set off. Time is a bit tight, so I'm afraid we won't have time to take a break. Zhang Lingzi tightened the lid of the thermos cup and handed it to Lu Zhengzheng. Hearing this, he hummed, "It's okay, I'm not tired." While standing next to the car taking pictures, Zhang Lingzi was adjusting her posture under the guidance of the photographer when she suddenly turned her head and glanced at a corner of the studio. The speed is so fast that even the photographer staring at the camera does not notice it. Okay, just this expression, click. After almost taking pictures around the car, Zhang Lingzi glanced at the previous corner as the photographer made an OK gesture. She just noticed a particularly hot gaze that made her feel a little strange, but she could feel that it was definitely not the kind of gaze that a fan would have towards an idol, and it had already disappeared. In the studio, because of the advertisement she was going to shoot, there were nearly 50 people busy in various corners, performing their duties. For a moment, she couldn't tell who was looking at her just now. Taking the lunch box handed over by Su Ling'an, Zhang Lingzi hooked a small stool with her feet. After sitting down, she opened the lunch box, took out her chopsticks, picked up a chopstick of rice, and stuffed it into her mouth. At the same time, he was still silently sensing whether that line of sight would come over again. It's a pity that she didn't notice the second time until the meal was finished. The target is very sharp. I was almost discovered. You were almost discovered. Are you sure you're not joking? The other party is just a celebrity. Do you think this is a joke? Are we still going as planned? I always feel that our actions this time are a bit hasty. It should just be that you are born with sharp 5 senses. You are a bit sensitive this time, old man. It's such a small commission, and the target is not an important person. Do you need me to bother planning it? Proceed as planned. I will prepare a celebration drink for you. All right. Sitting cross-legged in the corner, the man in black overalls sighed softly while eating. After eating, he lowered the brim of his hat and quietly glanced at the figure sitting on a stool not far away. What a pity, such a beautiful face. However, he still loves money more. Then I can only feel sorry for this face. After everyone finished eating, the entire advertising shooting team rushed to the location for filming. Zhang Lingzi changed her clothes and got out of the nanny's car. She saw that in addition to the red car she took pictures of in the shed before, there was a blue car parked on the roadside. The director in charge of filming the location waved her over. Teacher Zhang will drive the red car later, and the photographer will sit in the passenger seat. The blue car will be driven by our staff here. The two cars will be driving one behind the other in a chase scene on the road. High-altitude shots I will follow. But Teacher Zhang doesn't need to drive very fast. Just drive according to your usual driving habits. Our staff will cooperate with you after the filming is completed. In short, everything is safe. Zhang Lingzi nodded, understood. When she was about to get in the car, she was pulled by Tong Yu and told in 3 words, "Take it easy. All directors say you don't need to drive too fast. In my case, don't really go racing. If you throw the blue car behind you too far, you won't be able to stage a chase. There's nothing you can do in the post-production process." Zhang Lingzi. Are you that unreliable? When she opened the car door and prepared to get in, she subconsciously turned her head and glanced at the blue car parked behind. She saw a staff member wearing black overalls and a baseball cap whose face could not be seen clearly standing in front of the car door. He nodded slightly towards her. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 688. Teacher Zhang, can we start? Zhang Lingzi glanced at the cameraman carrying the machine in the passenger seat and reminded, buckle up your seat belt. Oh, okay, thank you, Teacher Zhang, for reminding me. Buckled up the seat belt and picked up the machine again, Zhang Lingzi waited for the camera to open, and immediately started the car without any hesitation. The interior of this car is slightly different from the one she used for practice the day before yesterday. After all, it is not the same brand. However, the basic operations are the same. After driving for a while, she started to accelerate silently. At the same time, she glanced at the blue car following closely behind through the rear-view mirror. Aerial footage was manipulated to fly above the two cars to faithfully record the scene. The director and others stayed at the original point and watched the images transmitted by the camera. Hold the walkie-talkie in your hand and be ready for remote command at any time. Seeing Zhang Lingzi drive the car skillfully under the camera, the director nodded with satisfaction and turned to look at Tong Yu sitting next to him. Teacher Zhang is very skilled at driving, give me a surprise. Tong Yu could only smile back and said, you've given me the award. More than being skilled, she felt that if Zhang Lingzi was given a racing car, this girl would dare to drive it. She now just hopes that this girl can really take it easy. Inside the red car, the cameraman in the passenger seat received the director's instructions and reminded, Teacher Zhang, get ready, the car behind is preparing to change lanes at the turn in front to overtake. After all, this is not really two cars chasing each other, it is just a show. This reminder is still necessary to prevent the car behind from suddenly accelerating and being caught off guard. Zhang Lingzi nodded to show that she knew. By the way, she glanced at the blue car that was getting closer in the rear-view mirror and accelerated accordingly. Soon we arrived at the corner. When the red car was turning on the outer circle, the blue car behind suddenly accelerated again and cut into the inner circle first, surpassing the red car in an instant. Zhang Lingzi looked at the blue car and raised her eyebrows. From this operation, it can be seen that the staff member driving the blue car is a veteran, and he has grasped the opportunity to overtake the car very well. It is difficult for the brand to find such a powerful staff member to cooperate with him. Since the opponent's skills were good, Zhang Lingzi had a bit of fighting spirit in his eyes. The road along the lake naturally has more than just one turn. There are several left and right turns in front of it, which is perfect for filming vehicle chase scenes. She needs to be more serious. She can't just rely on the other party's humility and cooperation. On the other hand, When the director looked at the overtaking footage that had just been transmitted, he couldn't help but exclaimed, "When did that boy Zhuang Hao become so good at driving?" The staff behind heard the sound and replied, "Director, Zhuang Hao has asked for leave due to acute gastroenteritis. The person who can drive now is Xiao Guo, who has just joined the job. He said that he used to be a driver for others. He has been driving for almost 10 years, so he asked me to drive. He gave it a thumbs up. He's a driver, no wonder he's so skilled." The director suddenly nodded, "Okay, I understand. Remember to send him a red envelope when you're done. You can't let people work in vain." The two cars were locked in front of each other, and soon they saw the second turn ahead. This turn is at a wider angle than the previous one, and you can even see the sparkling lake ahead across the road. "Teacher Zhang, the car in front will slow down appropriately later. You can just cut through the inner circle and pass the blue car directly. The driver of the blue car will cooperate with you." Zhang Lingzi pursed her lips and nodded. In the blue car, Xiao Guo had just received similar instructions from the headphones he was wearing. After replying nonchalantly, "Copy that," he plucked the earphones out of his ears and threw them aside. He glanced at the red car preparing to overtake and raised the corners of his lips. The curve in front is still too close to the director and his gang, but this side is very good. He will no longer cooperate obediently. So from the perspective of Zhang Lingzi and the cameraman in the red car, the blue car, instead of slowing down, suddenly accelerated and turned sharply. This is something that would never happen in a script. Seeing that the front of the car was about to hit the suddenly uncooperative blue car body, the cameraman could not maintain his composure at all. The angle of the lens of the machine in his arms was shifted and he couldn't even care. Stop quickly. The following three characters directly sound broken. Zhang Lingzi tightened her grip on the steering wheel, knowing very well that it was too late to brake at this time, so she could only turn as fast as possible. Tisk. A tooth-breaking friction sound was heard. The red car almost turned 90 degrees this time, and finally kept parallel with the blue car. At the closest moment, the windows on both sides were only separated by a slap. At the critical moment, Zhang Lingzi looked over through two glass windows. She was sure that the other party did it on purpose this time. It's a pity that the glass is covered with privacy film, so only the black shadow from the driver's seat can be seen. The eyebrows under the baseball cap were raised slightly, and his tone was a little more surprised. "The response is quite fast." There was a certain delay in the transmission of the footage. When the director received the news that the two cars were almost touching each other and turning the corner, his heart almost stopped for a while. This shot is indeed exciting to watch, more exciting than the previous shot, but the risk is also too high. He immediately picked up the walkie-talkie and said, "Xiao Guo, what are you doing? I asked you to cooperate with Teacher Zhang, not to create difficulties for Teacher Zhang." "Xiao Guo, Xiao Guo." The director was shocked, not to mention Tong Yu and Su Ling'an, who were standing by. They were so shocked that they stood up on the spot. Tong Yu waited for the director to finish shouting into the intercom and said coldly, "Director, I need an explanation. If your staff's willful operations harm my artists, I will pursue them to the end. I'll send someone to chase him in a car." The director already had a bad feeling in his heart. Isn't this Xiao Guo Teacher Jiang's illegitimate wife? After all, news about illegitimate people driving and forcing idols to stop their cars has become commonplace. But he never expected that something would happen during the filming of the commercial. Seeing that the director made a prompt decision and lined up a car to catch up, Tong Yu breathed a sigh of relief, but she was not completely relieved. The red car and the blue car have already driven some distance away. This is a road along the lake. There is a lake on one side of the road. Even if she drives to chase the driver, she does not dare to drive too fast, even if she drives it herself. At this moment, she didn't want Zhang Lingzi to drive more leisurely. No matter how this girl drove, protecting herself was the most important thing. While preparations for countermeasures are being made here, the atmosphere on the other side of the road is even more tense. The cameraman sitting in the passenger seat completely ignored the machine in his arms. He was holding onto the seat belt with one hand and the handrail on the ceiling with the other. His whole body collapsed into a taut bowstring, and his face was about to burst into tears. "Teacher Zhang, yes, can you stop? He is afraid. He wants to get off." Zhang Lingzi kept her feet on the accelerator and brake, and turned the steering wheel sharply again. She didn't forget to glance at the blue front of the car that hit her in the rearview mirror. "You can't stop now if you want." On one side are blue cars that are always looking for opportunities to attack, and on the other side is the light green lake. What is happening now is a real chase scene. Stopping rashly is courting death. I just don't know who created the driver in the blue car. He was able to sneak into the brand's advertising team and seize the opportunity to shoot on location to suddenly attack. The method can be said to be quite good. The biggest selling point of your car is its superior performance, right? The cameraman nodded subconsciously, yes, yes. But does this problem have anything to do with the crisis they are facing now? Then I'm going to have a good experience. As soon as the words fell, a strong pushing feeling came. The moment the red car was about to collide with the blue car, it suddenly accelerated again. Ah! That's crazy. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 689. Zhang Lingzi wanted to take the initiative in this chase scene. But after the back and forth confrontation just now, she knew very well that when it came to driving skills and proficiency, she, a novice who had practiced for only 2 days, would definitely not be able to compare with the man in the blue car. Then you can only find another way. Force the person out of the car. She drove directly towards the lake in front of her. The cameraman's frightened screams could be heard in her ears, and she blocked them directly. Seeing that the front of the car was about to plunge into the lake in the next second, the steering wheel turned sharply. At the critical moment, the car body almost scraped the lake shore as it drove out. The cameraman stared straight at the few drops of lake water splashed on the car window next to him. He was almost, just almost, able to see his wife. This move was indeed thrilling, but it also managed to put some distance between him and the blue car that was clinging to it. Xiao Guo also witnessed this thrilling operation on the blue car, and the corners of his mouth could not help but grin wider. This Miss Zhang will really surprise him. Successfully stuck in the inner circle, Zhang Lingzi looked in the rearview mirror at the blue car that was also speeding up to catch up, and the corners of her lips fell into a straight line. She only has one chance. You cannot use the same trick a second time. If the blue car wants to get stuck again, it has no choice but to squeeze her out again. That was the opportunity she was waiting for. There is another curve just ahead. The blue car attempts to overtake again. It's now. The cameraman watched helplessly as Zhang Lingzi stepped on the accelerator to the bottom, and at the same time turned the steering wheel sharply, preparing to hit the blue car into the lake in one go, and directly hit it. Boom! They both shook at the same time. With the sound of tires scraping against the asphalt road, the blue car was suddenly hit by the side while accelerating, and the steering wheel fell off for a moment. There is no way to turn automatically without anyone controlling it. The next second, crash. The mechanical female voice in the car immediately sounded. It has been detected that the car body has entered the water, the doors and windows have automatically opened. Please escape as soon as possible, please escape as soon as possible. After a second of stiffening the corners of his mouth under the baseball cap, and looking at the lake water pouring in as the car doors and windows opened, Xiao Guo could only crawl out along the opened car door. Looking up, he saw the driver's door of the red car open, and the person in the car got out of the car with a cold face. The black and red clothes, the cold and unparalleled face, and the close range made him lose consciousness for a moment. Not to mention this is the first time that someone has pushed him to this extent. Hey, Miss Jiang's fans, do you know that Miss Jiang is really so crazy? This time the distance between the two was less than 3 meters, and Zhang Lingzi finally saw the face under the black hat clearly. Pale and delicate, not too old at all. But those eyes were full of disregard for human life. Who sent you? Well, this question goes against my professional ethics. Zhang Lingzi sneered, how can a person like you have the nerve to talk about morality? Speaking, his eyes sharpened. Xiao Guo immediately realized something was wrong and hid aside immediately, but unfortunately it was too late. One foot was condescending and kicked him the shoulder. The force was so strong that he couldn't control it and took several steps back. His back hit the body of the blue car behind him before he was stopped. Hiss. This kick made his left arm numb. Had he not moved away just now, this kick would have hit him right in the chest, and the blood vomiting would have been light. Who knows how a female star can get such strength? She must be a martial arts star. The information Henry the dog gave him didn't mention this. He originally thought that it would not matter even if they were face to face. Although it was really unbearable to scratch such a face with his own hands, he could overcome it. I am not sure now. When he covered his shoulders and looked over again, Xiao Guo's eyes finally became serious. Zhang Lingzi looked at his eyes rolling back and forth, still not saying anything. This time what she answered was a sharp blade, pointed directly at her face. Turning his head to avoid it, the blade hit the red car, scaring the cameraman who wanted to follow him out of the car to see what was going on. Haven't he bumped into a murder scene? It's better to stay in the car for safety. As for Teacher Zhang standing outside, it's not that he doesn't want to help, it's just that he is powerless. Xiao Guo swung a flying knife. If Zhang Lingzi was not prepared at the beginning, he might have succeeded. But this kind of weapon, which requires a long distance to exert its strongest effect, is just a pile of scrap metal in her opinion if she gets close. The two stood by the lake and started fighting without reservation. With this beating, Zhang Lingzi knew why he used a throwing knife as a weapon. Purely melee combat won't work. No wonder we chose such a roundabout method. Want to run? Hearing the sound of cars getting closer and closer, Zhang Lingzi grabbed the man's shoulders and asked, "Did you ask for my permission?" Xiao Guo looked up and saw the car driving this way, and then looked at the bone-chilling lake water next to him. He gritted his teeth and simply followed Zhang Lingzi's strength and fell back. Taking advantage of the slight slack in his shoulders, he fell straight down into the lake. The lake water quickly covered his mouth and nose. He took a sharp breath and swam deeper. It doesn't matter whether he completes the task or not, and it doesn't matter whether he dies in the lake in this winter, but he must not fall into the hands of the police here in Huazhu. Zhang Lingzi looked at the calm lake again. It wasn't until someone shouted from behind that she turned around and walked back, taking the cell phone handed to her. "Sister Tong, Enan, I'm fine. It's a pity, that person just now was quite generous. In this weather, water escape, if you don't freeze to death in the water, you're lucky. Just so that it doesn't fall into her hands." It was already half an hour later when we returned to the starting point of the shooting. As soon as Zhang Lingzi got out of the car, she was surrounded by Tong Yu and Su Ling'an. After making sure that only her hands were red from beating people too hard, and that the skin on other parts of her body was not broken, she was completely relieved. Then there was an apology from the director and others waiting aside. Although the cameraman in the car was frightened and stopped midway, the high-altitude tracking camera was not affected. The thrilling chase and collision between the red car and the blue car on the road were faithfully filmed. Even when the two got out of the car and started fighting at the lake and then escaping in the water, the scene was filmed from beginning to end. That Xiao Guo is new here, and I didn't expect that he had evil intentions. This accident was caused by our laxness in employee review, which shocked Ms. Zhang. I'm really sorry. Zhang Lingzi waved her hand towards the director. If I guessed correctly, this person was originally coming for me. It also frightened the director and everyone. As long as it's okay, it's okay. How about we just leave today's shooting like this? Miss Zhang goes back to calm down her shock, and then we can make an appointment for additional filming. Zhang Lingzi raised her eyebrows. Don't you need to take the photos before? Ah. Although the previous scenes were a little different from what was expected, just tell me whether there was a chase or not, and the special effects should be saved later. There is no need to delete the subsequent fighting scenes. That's Xiao Guo, just treat him as if he is also participating. In this way, wouldn't it be more storytelling? Zhang Lingzi speculated that Xiao Guo was probably a killer. Only killers hide their faces and are very concerned about whether their faces are exposed. Then she will naturally do the opposite. By then, even if this person can't freeze to death in the water, he will be depressed to death knowing that he has been in a car advertisement. There are also people who hire killers behind the scenes to scare out the snakes hiding inside. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? The director clasped his hands together excitedly. Looking at it this way, it's indeed more exciting than a simple chase. Then we'll just do what Ms. Zhang wants and there's no need for reshoots. I have one more request. Ms. Zhang, please speak. Announce it as soon as possible. Ah, okay. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 690. Back in the nanny's car, I was finally able to say things that were hard to say in front of outsiders. The one who jumped into the lake before. Zhang Lingzi raised her forehead and said, maybe I have too many enemies. Tong Yu. She was silenced for 2 seconds. Are you serious? Absolutely serious. However, it seems that the killer did not intend to kill me, Zhang Lingzi said, touching her face. I feel that he wanted to scratch my face more, but he really underestimated my strength. He's probably just a low-level killer. The killer who is still struggling to swim to the shore in the lake. After all, he has been on the wanted list all year round. Okay. Sister Tong, don't worry about this. I'll find a way to check it myself. Seeing what Tong Yu wanted to say, she stretched out a finger and her expression became more serious. Sister Tong, it's dangerous. Tong Yu nodded with an ugly face. You also have to be careful. If the opponent doesn't succeed this time, there's no guarantee there won't be another time. If not, I'll hire some bodyguards for you, right? Su Lingyan and the others also nodded. Being stared at by several pairs of eyes, Zhang Lingzi was defeated this time. Then I'll go back and ask Chang Ning if she's free and ask her to accompany me. I can't trust strange bodyguards. Okay, Tong Yu thought for a while and finally compromised. This time, Xiao Guo is from the brand. If the bodyguard is also mixed in, it would be better to use an acquaintance. The nanny van was parked at the gate of Z1. Just as Tong Yu was about to give Zhang Lingzi a few more instructions, the phone in her hand rang first. This is a call from the brand. He clicked on the answer. Hello. Zhang Lingzi didn't rush out of the car and touched Su Lingyan's cold hands sitting next to her. Are you still worried? Su Lingyan rubbed her head on Zhang Lingzi's shoulder. The people behind the scenes are so hateful. Don't worry, we'll catch the person out. Tong Yu hung up the phone and said, Xiao 11, the brand said that as an apology, the red car you drove today will be sent back to the original factory for maintenance and then given to you directly. Zhang Lingzi smiled and nodded. This is an unexpected surprise. Tong Yu, I would rather not have this accident. Today, it really scared me so much that my heart almost jumped out. You guys should have a good rest when you go back and calm down. Zhang Lingzi took Su Lingyan out of the car. After entering Z1, she asked Su Lingyan to go back to the guest bedroom to rest first. while she went into Shen Yunking's study. Find a pen and drawing paper and drew the appearance of the killer she saw. Then I went back to the room to wash up and rest. Asterisk. Zhang Lingzhou first received a bank deposit message on his mobile phone. Still wondering where the money came from, the screen of the phone suddenly went dark. Mission failed. Deduct the handling fees in the capital circulation process and the cost of actions taken, and the deposit will be returned. Not accepting repeated tasks for the time being. I'm sorry that the amount of money that was missing by more than 100,000 yuan in his bank account was the returned deposit. So I wasted more than 100,000 yuan and accomplished nothing. Also, what does it mean not to accept repeated tasks? Are you a little too useless? How dare you ask for such a high price? Sorry, your message failed to be sent. This is completely out of the question. Zhang Lingzhu's face twisted uncontrollably, and he threw the phone out in a fit of anger. Lin Yi just opened the door and walked in. She was startled by the sound of her cell phone being thrown against the wall. What's wrong, Xiaozhou? Mom, I want to be quiet. He is really going to explode. Isn't it just a star, so difficult to deal with? Asterisk. Shen Yunqing came back to Ziwan from the company during dinner. After dinner, Zhang Lingzi took Shen Yunqing into the study and said, "I'll show you something." Shen Yunqing took the painting handed to him and frowned after just one glance. This is. The identity should be a killer. Didn't I go to shoot a car commercial today? This man sneaked into the shooting team and wanted to take the opportunity to attack me, but I noticed a fight, and then he broke away and escaped. Don't worry, I'm fine. Zhang Lingzi patted Shen Yunqing's suddenly clenched hand. His purpose seems to be to ruin my face. I don't even know when my face became so hateful. Shen Yunqing looked at the person in the painting again, remembered it in his mind, and said in a serious tone, "I'll go check it out." Well, before you came back, I also thought about who would hate my face more, and who has the financial resources and connections to hire a killer. In fact, there are only a few, so it shouldn't be difficult to find. Shen Yunqing rolled up the portrait and said, "I will check them one by one." After a pause, "When you go out in the future, ask Huzi and Chang Ning to follow you." Okay. She happened to have the same plan, but there was another tiger. Although he knew that the person who hired the killer should have received the news that the mission failed, Zhang Lingzi felt that it was still not heartbreaking enough. She turned up the lights on the side, leaned against the window and took a photo without makeup, focusing on her face, which had no broken skin. She logged into her account and posted a post. "Let the people behind the scenes know, the killer you hired is really good. Only with more small moves, it is possible to reveal more flaws. It will be more convenient for Shen Yunqing to check. However, the continuous updates are pure welfare for the majority of fans. I can't believe that this woman actually posted 2 posts in just a few days. Who says it's not the case? When I received the notification of new updates, I thought there was something wrong in the background. It's rare to see someone so diligent. By the way, has the commercial been shot? When will it be released?" Zhang Lingzi replied, "Just finished shooting, the brand said it would be released as soon as possible." The fans were so shocked that they almost jumped out of bed. I realized that the real owner was still online, and the number of comments went crazy. Sister Su Linggan came out of the room wearing a coat. Zhang Lingzi put down her phone and waved to her. "Why aren't you asleep yet?" "I came back in the afternoon and slept for more than an hour. I'm not sleepy now." Su Linggan walked to the opposite side and sat down. "My sister just posted the message to tell the people behind the scenes that their operation was unsuccessful. What if they send people again?" The disapproval on Su Linggan's face paused after meeting her sister's smiling gaze. "Don't you just want the people behind the scenes to jump? The killer is not important. What is important is the person behind the scenes who is malicious to me." Zhang Lingzi poured a glass of water and handed it over. "I have to make that person lose his composure before he reveals his true nature. But you will also be in danger."
When faced with danger, we don't have to avoid it, the danger will always exist, what we need is to solve the source of the danger. Zhang Lingzi thought for a while but still didn't say anything. Zhang Anfeng's family of 3 is also one of her current suspects. If she told her, maybe this girl would recommend herself and volunteer to go back and help her find out the truth. Asterisk. After Zhang Lingzhou smashed his cell phone so much that it became useless, he lay upright on the bed for an hour before he couldn't stand it anymore. The other side only replied to him with the words "mission failed," but what kind of failure method was it? Even if Zhang Lingzi's face was not ruined, it still had some gains after leaving a few injuries. He endured it again and again and finally asked for Lin Yi's cell phone, inserted his own SIM card, searched for news related to Zhang Lingzi, and found her selfie status. The photo shows a face without any blemishes or injuries, and there is no fear in the eyes. More like a silent provocation to him. Snapped. Another mobile phone was thrown out and declared scrapped.